Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Welcome to my channel Learn Math with Syed Ali. So since we are in COVID-19 situation, a virus, coronavirus, and we are helping to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Schools are closed and we are isolating at home to avoid spreading illness to others. And I have started this channel to provide some educational material for the kids. One of my 10th grader has sent me this question. These are the two questions. So I will read it out and I will explain how to solve this question. Write an equation for the quadratic relation that results from each transformation. So the graph of y is equals to x square is translated 6 unit upward. 6 unit upward, right? And B part is the graph of y is equals to x square is translated 4 unit downward, right? So I will read both questions because both questions we will solve or we will understand with respect to the quadratic formula or vertex form of the quadratic equation. And we have we know that the vertex form of the quadratic equation, vertex form of quadratic equation is y is equals to a times x minus h whole square plus k, right? So we will be concentrating on this equation, and I will advise kids, students to remember this equation as vertex form of quadratic or vertex form of parabola, right? So this is the equation, and we will only concentrate on to these two questions, and that will be good for the kids to know that what is vertex in this vertex form. Vertex is hk. So we need to remember two things. One is the equation y is equals to a times x minus h whole square plus k, and vertex coordinate is h and k. So this is the basic which we need to understand before doing this question, right? So vertex form of quadratic is y is equals to a times x minus h whole square plus k, where vertex is h and k. So h is x coordinate of the vertex. Always remember, h is x coordinate of the vertex and y is y coordinate of the vertex. So I will write here x coordinate. So if you remember these 2 points, then you can easily solve these two questions, and k is y coordinate of the vertex, right? The simplest equation for the quadratic function is y is equals to x square. This is the simplest form, right? So the y is equals to x square, and we learned that how this y is equals to x square can be translated when it is moving on the x-axis, or if the graph of this parabola is moving on the y-axis. So that means its vertex is changing. So the vertex of this y is equals to x square is 0, 0. Vertex for y is equals to x square is 0, 0 at origin, right? So now we have to see when y is equals to x square means there is a is 1, right? And if you have no h and no k, what are you left with? Y is equals to x square. So this form is the generic form for the vertex form, right? And this form is the simplest form. Why simplest form? Because when h is 0, k is 0, a is 1, then this equation reduced to y is equals to x square. And this y is equals to x square, remember, this is the basic simplest quadratic equation whose vertex is at 0, 0, right? Now we have to see how it travels, how this graph of y is equals to x square travels or translate, right? Translate means how it moves, right? Where it moves, right? Depending on what? If it is translated 6 unit upward or downward, so whenever we are talking about upward and downward, what we are talking about? We are talking about y-axis, right? If we are talking about upward or downward? We are talking about y-axis. And who is representing here my y coordinate for the vertex? That k. This k value representing me the y coordinate of the vertex. So it's very easy to understand now that how this graph will be moving if my k is there. So this is my simplest form, but if I have k, that means my graph is translating from 0, 0 location. So if I make a rough graph for y is equals to x square, it's some sort of this, and my vertex is here, right? Maybe more close to like this. So this is my y is equals to x square, right? So now, if I am saying that there is no h and there is no k, so my graph is this. But if I have got my k value, that means k is my y coordinate. K is my y coordinate. So which way it has to go? So y coordinate is moving. That means how many unit it is moving, right? So it's saying translated 6 unit upward. 6 unit upward means now my y coordinate is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 unit upward. Now my graph is kind of this. Where it translated? See? 6 unit upward. Because now I have got the k value. And what is that k value? In my case, k value is 6 unit upward. So if it is 6 unit upward, I understand that my graph is moving on the y-axis 6 unit upward. So where is my k value here? I can write the equation for this curve, right? What is using? Write down the result from each transformation, quadratic relation. You have to write an equation. What is equation of this, right? We learned that this equation, black parabola, is y is equals to x square. And now I am saying, why it is y is equals to x square? Because there is no h and k value. If you put h is 0, k is 0, a is 1, you have y is equals to x square. Now the question is giving you that it is translated 6 unit upward. 6 unit upward I count, right? It's my y coordinate value, is my k. What k is representing? My y coordinate value of the vertex. So vertex is moving. Where vertex is moving? Or translated 6 unit upward. 6 unit upward, I draw it. So what is the equation? What should be the equation for this curve? The green curve, which is translated 6 unit upward. Very simple. So you will say y is equals to where it is translated, x square will remain there, but it is translated. That means k value is now present. And what is that k value? Which is 6. So my graph is x square plus 6, right? This is my green graph. Now I have to see the second part, the B part. The graph of y is equals to x square is translated 4 unit downward. Now I have to draw another graph, which is 4 unit downward means, again I have the k value because it is the y-axis which is shifting. How much? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 unit downward. So my graph is now passing through here. This is my red graph, right? Now my vertex is translated. How much? How many unit? 4 unit downward, right? So now I have some value for k which is negative, which is translated 4 unit downward. So that means my equation for this red curve will be equals to x square minus 4. So one more time I will repeat so to understand it clearly that we have to see y is equals to x square is the basic equation where no h and k involved and the vertex is at 0, 0. And when I write the vertex form of the quadratic equation, it is y is equals to a times x minus h whole square plus k. This h is telling you how the x is translating on the x-axis, and this k is telling you how much is translating on the y-axis, right? Because h and k is the vertex. H is the x coordinate, so it's telling about x, where x is translating on the x-axis, and k, if k value is present, then we know that it is translating on the y-axis because it is a y coordinate. And this particular question is translating 6 unit up in the A part and 4 unit down in the B part. So this was my y is equals to x square. So 6 unit up, it translated, that means my k value is 6, right? Because my vertex in this case here will be 0 and 6. What is my vertex here? 0 and 6. It's translated 6 unit upward. What is my vertex here for the red? My vertex is translated, so it is 0 and minus 4. This is my vertex in the red case. What is my vertex in the black case? My vertex in the black case, I told you, is 0, 0. So hope you understand with these three types of the graph that how y is equals to x square is translating on the y-axis, right? On the y-axis means upward or downward. And who is responsible for this upward and downward translation or the movement is the value of k. So you introduce value of k, how much it is moving up. If it is moving up, it is plus. If it is moving down, it is minus. And where you have to put those units? Here in place of k. So y is equals to x square plus 6 is the first case, and y is equals to x square minus 4 is the second part of the question. Now we come to the other question here. Write an equation for the quadratic relation that represents or results from each transformation. Here it is saying the graph of y is equals to x square is translated 7 unit to the left. Left and right is your x-axis, right? Left and right is your x-axis. How it is translating on the x-axis is responsible where h is going, right? Where h is going to. So again, if I have the parabola y is equals to x square, right, which is the basic parabola, right? This is your y is equals to x square. Remember, simplest form of the quadratic equation, y is equals to x square. There is no h and there is no k. But if there is a value of h, that means this parabola is translating on what? On x-axis, right? And who is responsible to give you that result that it is translating or moving on the x-axis? H value, right? So if h value is there, so he is saying 7 unit to the left. 7 unit to the left means it is coming here, this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 unit to the left. To the left means is now, parabola is now here, right? Parabola is now in red, right? 7 unit to the left. When it translates 7 unit to the left, that means what should be my equation for this parabola? Now h is translated 7 unit, right, to the left. So that means this is minus 7. If you put minus 7 into this equation, right, y is equals to x minus 7 whole square, right? So what you have? You can make another bracket so that you can differentiate between the small parentheses. So now you replace h as minus 7 because you are given that the graph of y is equal x square is translated 7 unit to the left. To the left means minus 7. Now your h value is minus 7, so you plug it in minus 7 and that will result as plus, right? Because minus is outside, right? So that will be minus 7, minus plus, right? Whole square is there. Sorry, this is here. So x minus 7 makes it plus. So x plus 7 whole square will be your answer, or will be the equation of this parabola, which is translated 7 unit to the left. So whenever it is translated to the left, you have to make this h positive because value of h is negative here. So here you have to make it positive. But when the graph is translated 5 unit to the right, 5 unit to the right means I have to count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I count 5 and then my parabola is here, right? So my parabola is translated 5 unit to the right. What is my h value now? My h value is 5, right? And it is plus 5. So you have to replace h with plus 5. So now your equation for this green graph, which is translated 5 unit to the right, is x minus 5 whole square. So these are the two facts which we are relating into the vertex form of the quadratic. Vertex form is y is equals to a times x minus h whole square plus k. So we answered both questions and we know that what is the equation for the b part. So b part is this, right? That 5 unit to the right. 5 unit to the right means h is now 5. So I have to plug it in. So h instead of h I write 5. So my equation now become y is equals to x minus 5 whole square, right? So remember that if it is translated to the left, this value becomes plus because negative is in the formula. And when it is translated to the right, this remains as minus because this is minus, right? So this is how the value of h and k telling us that how the parabola is translated or moving across x-axis or onto the x-axis or onto the y-axis. Who is representing those values? H and k. What h is representing? Translation on the translation on the x-axis. What k is representing? Translation on the y-axis. So the first part was translated 6 unit upward. So this is k because this is on the y-axis. Up and down is always y-axis. Left and right is on the x-axis, right? So you know that you can have those equations if it is translated up and down or if it is translated left and right. And it is very easy to write the equation for the parabola if it is known that how many units they are translating to the left and right. Left and right is h value is involved and up and down k value is involved. Hope you like the video and you understand it thoroughly. If you like it, press the bell icon button, subscribe my channel to receive more video. Thank you for watching.